So I think we all want to know, all these people are building great careers, followings using social media. So we all want to know the secret. How do you build a following? How do you make clips go viral? And we thought we had it in creating the Shorty Awards, like what better way to get secrets out of people than buttering them up with an award, having an open bar. We could kind of find out everything that makes it work, that makes them drive. But then we realized we sabotaged ourselves by imposing a 140-character acceptance speech limit. So you didn't have much of a chance to really hear what made them work. That's why we decided to launch this series, Shorty Stories, where every month, for the rest of time, or at least until the social media fad is over, we'll invite one social media star and hear really what makes them tick, what makes it work. This is the first one. This is the beta, so you are all part of the experiment. Thanks for coming. Make sure that you tweet about it, hashtag Shorty Stories. Snapchat, Facebook, Vines, everything is welcomed, along with donations to charity here tonight. And we'll also be posting these as videos into a web show. Of course, we're obligated to make it into a podcast too, which we'll be doing, and eventually pushing it out to every form of media. I'm really excited now to introduce our guest tonight. She used to work in a medium called television as a news reporter and has now shifted and evolved to being a social media star on Vine, Snapchat, YouTube, Twitter, with over 1 million fans that she built through all these platforms. Sara Hopkins, we're going to play a quick video about her, then I'm going to welcome her on stage. Also, think about questions. You should definitely tweet them as you have them, but we'll be inviting you afterwards to the mics so you can start asking her questions right when we're done. But with that, let's roll the video.
I sit on top of the fridge and you feed me. It's a demon! Don't look at me. Here's the place.
No, we're at capacity, no.
Oh. Are you?
Except the S6. I want that phone.
I'm a dolphin.
Oh, shit!
What did one twin say to the other?
Hey!
Give me some woo. Woo. Someone's here.
Who run the world is squirrels. Who run the world is squirrels.
I don't want to go out there. You look homeless. But. Sorry. Now don't you feel bad? This is humiliating.
I'm Sara Hopkins, and this is called Finding a Grocery Store. You gotta gear up.
No.
Well, that's worse. Not enough Atlanta. Too much Atlanta. Too casual. Too formal. Not enough clothes. Too many clothes. This'll work. This outfit says, I'm a cool mom. I've got errands to run, but I still want to squeeze in my Zumba class.
Sara Hopkins.
First, I have to Snapchat. Hold on, guys. Hello, everyone. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your I guess I better do this. I'm nervous, y'all. This is scary. When I was working in television, I never did anything more than 1:30, and I was telling them it always ended with, back to you. So if I do that by default, please forgive me. I wrote down some notes of things, and I just, again, want to start by saying I'm so excited that I'm here to be in the beta test of this. This is very exciting. I think it's going to be really fun for all the months to come, and I hope you guys continue coming to all of them. I'm going to come to as many as I can. Anyway, when they first started talking to me about this, they were just kind of explaining it to me, saying it's kind of like TED Talks. Someone just tweeted. Okay. They were just kind of explaining that it's like TED Talks, and I thought they were inviting me to come listen. And I said, yeah. And then they said, no, we want you to speak. And I said, oh, I don't know if I can be that entertaining for that long. I'm usually only good in 6-second spurts. So here's the whack at it anyway. But usually 6-second spurts are 140 characters, give or take. But again, I'm really excited to be here because I didn't know what to say at first. And so as I was getting ready, they just told me, just no worries, just kind of tell your story of how you got to where you are, making social media your full-time career. Social media is my full-time career, and that sounds hilarious to me every time I say it out loud. It doesn't stop sounding like a joke, because it's too good to be true, like it's made up, and it's hard to take serious, because, oh, you play on your phone all day, do you? That's what you do. Okay. But it has absolutely 100% transformed my life in a way that I had never anticipated, because it started out as a hobby. And let me paint a picture for you. February 2013, the Vine app had just been created. My friend Hanson Dubois, I don't know why I did that, it's a dramatic effect. He told me to download the app, so I did, and he was just saying, we can send funny videos to each other, and that's all I did, and I loved it. I was in school at Auburn University studying radio, television, and film, War Eagle, and I loved editing and that kind of stuff, video, everything. So this was right up my alley, and I was just making content that no one was seeing because I was entertaining myself, and I loved it. And but I just continued doing it through that semester, through the summer, and then fall semester came, and I needed to get an internship. This was kind of a turning point in everything, because I completely was finished with all my on-campus classes, and so I just needed to go do my internship, and I decided to 100% move to wherever it was. In Chattanooga, Tennessee is where I got the internship at a CBS affiliate. And I made it a full-time gig. I was there more than 40 hours a week. I wanted them to think I worked there at the end of it, which they did, which is really awesome. But I got also lucky when I was there, because they were really short-staffed. One of the reporters was out on maternity leave, so it was kind of like, we need someone on TV right now, you. Do it. And so I had to sink or swim, and luckily I'm a dolphin, so. But no, I swam and I figured it out, and it ended up being really the most amazing experience I could have ever asked for in an internship, more than I could have asked for. I was live probably 5 times, and this is a top 100 market in Chattanooga, and by the end of it, they were just sending me out with a photographer to go make my own stories, and the news anchors were reading them on air every night, stuff that I had written, which was blowing my mind. But midway through my internship, I went to my news director, and I suggested we do a profile piece on a young man in the area who was a Viner. His name was Michael Dennis, and I said, we need to interview this guy. He's so cool. He has built this following. I'm going to put this down. Notes, schmotes. I might pull that up later because I might lose track. I'm extremely ADD. He's a Viner, and he had been exploding because he was doing these very raunchy, pretty racy impersonations of Paula Deen, which at the time were very relevant because of her comments. But I was like, we need to interview him and do, a profile piece on him and kind of tell how he got to this place in such a short amount of time, because the Vine app had not even existed for a year. I'm gonna get some water, hold on. So the Vine app had not even existed for a year yet, but he was growing crazy numbers. So I interviewed him, and in that opportunity, I came in with my photographer, and of course he took advantage of it, as any good Viner would, and he wanted to make a Vine with us, because, there's a cameraman, there's a girl with a microphone, why not? So we did, and he ended up tagging me, and he was like, hey, your stuff's kind of funny. You're actually pretty good at this. And I was like, well, it's fun to me, but no, I don't know. No one's watching it, so whatever. And he ended up revining me, and that night I went from 400 to 1,000 followers. And by the time I left Chattanooga, by the time I left Tennessee, a month and a half later, I had like 150,000 on Vine. And it just kind of went crazy, because I started doing these series of humans acted like dogs, if humans acted like cats. I just go to the window and say, someone's here, someone is here. But stuff like that. And I would knock over cups as a cat. But that kind of just went crazy. But because of that internship, and because I did, I guess, a good job there, I was hired at an ABC affiliate in coastal North Carolina. And in news, you have to move to wherever the job hires you. I got really lucky. It was at the beach. But I moved there and I didn't know a soul. It was 8 hours away from anyone or anything that I knew, and I was really sad. Looking back, I was probably depressed. I was really, really lonely, but I was so lucky that I had this amazing community of Viners, which any Viner will tell you that it is 100% a very tight-knit group, a community, because the millions of people that are on Vine, they're the tiny percentage of people that actually create Vines. So in that situation, it was a really good reassurance that I had someone I could talk to, or a group of people, actually thousands. I could pick up my phone and talk to thousands of people whenever. That's a little digression, but it's still, part of the story. On my other account, I made 2 accounts also. I made a second Vine account that's less well-known. It's not funny. It's very serious. It's a diary account. But in that time in my life, I really needed it to have something to do every day. I love Vine. By day, I was Sara Hopkins, WWAY News Channel 3 reporter. And then when I'd go home, I was a Viner. And I would think about Vines all day long, and it was my favorite thing, something I was so passionate about. I just loved being able to make things. I loved making stories and making people laugh and just being silly and being myself, playing with my dog. It was kind of insane. It's kept building. As I was working my double life, I started getting emails, and they were from dating websites or dating apps or things that I thought were kind of sketchy that I didn't really take seriously. They wanted me to make Vines for them. And I said, that's stupid. No. So I kept turning them down, and sometimes I would actually get emails just from people that would say, how much for a revine? To which I would respond, $2 million, cash, every time. I never got the money, but I didn't take any of them seriously until one day, another Viner named Cody Johns, which if you're familiar with Vine, he's very popular, he and his brother Marcus, but he emailed me and told me to sign up for this business called Niche. So I did it. I signed up, put my name in, because he was telling me they're working as kind of a connector to businesses and creators to make native advertising, which is something that really hadn't been done as much before, and they were going to take it to the next level, monetization, and this was legit. This wasn't some dating app or something kind of skeezy or weird that I wasn't taking seriously. This was for real. So I signed up, so excited, filled out all of my information, and then nothing happened for like 2 months. But then I almost forgot about Niche completely. I was just going about my business, still making things, happy as could be. And then I got an email from someone that worked there, and they said, a brand wants to work with you. And I was like, oh, who? They said, Tic Tac. And I said, what? They said, Tic Tac knows who I am? This is blowing my mind. I was like, no, right? So I ended up making a Vine for Tic Tac, and they also sent me probably 3 years worth of Tic Tacs. I was handing them out. It was amazing, though, and I had the best time doing it, and I got the opportunity to create something in my own style that I knew would work with my brand, because my own channel, but that also, and they were saying they wanted to pay me to do it. This is something I did for free every day because I loved it. So this was kind of the dream. But before I did that, I made sure I went to my news director and I said, full disclosure, I got an opportunity to make this video. What do you think? And he said, Sarah, I understand. Because you and I both know reporting is not doing much for your finances. And I was like, true. Side note, most people think that working in television is extremely glamorous and that you get lots of money. So much money because you're on TV and you get to wear lots of makeup, whatever. You're wrong. You're so wrong. An entry-level reporter probably makes as much as an entry-level pre-K teacher, or less, depending on the school system. But regardless, he was fine with me making these Vines. So after Tic Tac, all of a sudden, Old Navy wanted to work with me, and I was like, yes! And I got to do it all over again. And then Coca-Cola a few weeks later, and I was freaking out. I kind of had this duality about myself at the time where I had 2 jobs almost. And it was amazing. And I was at such a high point. This was so happy. And then all of a sudden they said, someone contacted me and said, NPR wants to do an interview with you. I was like, what? Yes. So I got on the phone with this girl, and she's like, she's gonna record you. It's gonna be, I was like, oh, I'm ready. Okay, NPR, I'm ready. This is a national. And we talked for about 30 minutes, everything from my dog to my job to advertisements on social media. And she started asking specific questions about dollar amounts, and very naively, I answered them, and it was bad. And I should have known this because I am a journalist, and you take the most interesting part of the interview and you make the story out of that. So the only clips she used from our interview were about that, and I really learned a lesson that anything you say can and will be used against you, you know, that whole thing. But so after that, I was berated with online comments, well, not comments, they were entire articles from blogs and newsroom gossip sites that only people in newsrooms read. But they were headlines like, reporter doubles her salary with social media ads, and should journalism allow paid product endorsements? Is there any room for this? And what are the ethics behind this? They were calling me the pimping reporter. And they were saying things in the comments like, oh, this girl is not a journalist. She is a silly girl on TV. And it really stung because at that time I was like, no, I'm good at this. I got an AP award already. In my first year, I got an AP award. And so it really hit home, and I was like, oh, this lesson is really learning the hard way. I hate this right now. But I learned my lesson, and I was sent to HR, where they had to sit down with me, but my news director knew I was doing it, so they couldn't fire me. And they said, Sarah, I think you need to choose, because we're getting some heat right now. So I said, you know what? I will. I'm sorry, I will stop doing social media. This is my job. I don't want to lose it. And because I love it. This is what I went to school to do. I love making stories. I do love editing and reporting. I mean, most of it. Some of the stuff, you know, it sucks, to be totally honest. You don't want to report on some of the stuff, but you have to. I had to do dog court one time. That's a real thing in Wilmington, North Carolina. Dog court. People go to court over their dogs. Okay, sorry, I digress. So I chose that, and I was turning down offers because I wanted to keep my job. I didn't want to lose my job as a news reporter. This is my first gig, you know, and I'm trying to get my foot in the door to go on to bigger things because I really wasn't thinking about social media being a full-time thing. I was like, this is just fun, and, you know, I'm sure this will die out within the next few months, but... So I just kept turning down offers until one day I got an offer that I could not refuse, and... I was like, you want me to do this? And I was already still making Vines daily, and I loved doing it in a way that it was just almost crazy for me to say, no, don't pay me to do what I love. Don't do that. So after going back and forth and calling my mom probably 500 times, I turned in my 2 weeks notice to my boss in the morning, and then I went out, did my story, and then I came back that afternoon. He sat me down, he said, Sarah, wait. Don't quit. We will create a position for you. So they created an entire position to keep me there. And they hired me because of my social media savvy. That was one of the reasons why they brought me on. And I got them on Vine, and I got them on Twitter and everything else. So they kept me, and they wanted me to stay on air and do some small segments. But I was moved into sales. And I'm not good at sales. I hate sales, actually. I went full force into this new sales/social media job, but I had to learn the art of cold calling and trying to convince people to trust me and tell them why they should be on TV, and I hated it. There was no such thing as the thrill of the sale for me. That's a lot of salesmen, or salespeople, I should say. They get the thrill of the sale. That didn't happen. I like making stuff. I missed editing my stories every day. Even if it was just about a bench that some Boy Scout made on the USS North Carolina for his Eagle Scout project, which I have done that. It was a very stupid story. That, you know, I missed that. I missed editing my stuff. But I had to go sell things. I would sit in my car for as long as humanly possible before I had to walk in there. That's actually when I made my Hype Man Duties Vine, which went viral. I've never experienced something like that. I was on World Star Hip Hop, y'all. And it's like 47 million loops. And when I made it, I was like, well, this is kind of funny. I'm gonna post this. I didn't think anything of it. Those are always the ones that do stuff. I don't know why. Just me singing backup to a rap song is hilarious. But I did that, and it got to a point where social media started growing and growing for me, and I was getting opportunities that I really didn't want to turn down, and I hated selling. So I went and I asked if I could go to be part-time. I was like, please, can I just do this part-time? I'll still do my segments. I had a zoo segment that I loved, and I had another segment that I did in the morning. But I still did my on-air segments. Just don't make me sell things, please. So they let me go part-time, and I opened myself up to more social media opportunities, and that's when Coca-Cola actually asked me to be the only social media creator at the Final Four for Coke Zero, which was so cool. And things like that happened, and it just opened the door for things I would have never imagined. I mean, I actually recently went to France to talk about social media marketing for Twitter. And what? The whole time I was there, I was just pinching myself because a smart man once told me, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. My job is to have fun, and it's insane. And I'm pinching myself every day, like I said. It's unreal. And the best part about it, though, with social media marketing that a lot of people don't understand is that it is the most intimate form of advertising that exists today. Because these people, these characters are in your palm of your hand, and you see them every day. You get very familiar with them, like they're your friends, and, you know, they are. And then they talk about things, and you get more influence from them. But I never accept a brand that doesn't fit with my brand. And the best thing about it is that I have the freedom to make it so it's something I would want to watch. I don't like creating stuff that I wouldn't want to watch, especially with branded stuff, because you have to really put in extra effort with that. And that's always a big question with things. And 2 weeks ago, I decided to, well, more than 2 weeks ago, about 3.5 weeks ago, I decided to do it full time. And I moved to Atlanta. And now I'm here talking to you guys. But if you told me 2 years ago that I would be doing this, I would have laughed at you and said, that's not even a thing. That's not real. You can't do social media. That's the dream, though. And it's been a crazy, insane ride. But I made it here, and here I am, and that's my story. Thanks. I guess I should do a dolphin sound to say goodbye, because that's... Oh, we gotta get it on the Snapchat. This is dolphin for goodbye, okay? Are you ready? So there you go.
Broadway has the Tonys, Hollywood has the Oscars, and now social media has the Shorties.
Welcome everyone to the 7th annual Shorty Awards.
The Shorties are by far the most prestigious.
We are so proud to be part of the Shorty Awards.
Thank you, Shorty Awards.
Thank you for doing that. That was pretty cool.
I get a call, I gotta be at the Shorty Awards.
I'll speak from the heart.
Wow, that was awesome.
There is not a more passionate fan base out there.
Hi friends, what's up?
Thanks for the Best Singer Award, I really appreciate it.